What is going on, everyone? Welcome to the Figuring It Out Finance podcast, episode number 101. My name is Chris Rickenbaugh, and I am your host as always. So, this podcast is for me to document my journey in real estate and business while also talking a little bit about travel hacking and personal finance. So, you can find me everywhere on figuringitoutfinance.com. That's where you're going to have access to everywhere you listen to podcasts. It's going to have my buyers list for my real estate business, and you're going to be able to have all of the links to my social media. So I post on TikTok and Instagram daily. So that's where you can keep up to date on everything that I'm doing in my business, along with tips and tricks. You can see the house walkthroughs that we're doing. So go check that out. Give me a follow. And thank you for listening. So hopping into today's podcast, it's going to be, why should you do a live and flip? So this is my personal experience because I did not a live and flip, but I did a live in renovation. So um, just being able to get into a house, and there's so many different little things that you can do and learn through this process, like the low down payment, you get the rehab experience, you meet a ton of contractors, learn prices and materials. So this is why I recommend it for everybody looking to get into real estate, because you're going to be exposed to so many of those things. And if you do a duplex or multi-unit, you're going to be able to get the renting experience as well, working with tenants. How do I schedule them? How do I get them into the property? Then if you're looking to get into flipping, you're going to have an idea on price. You're going to have an idea on workflow. You're going to meet a ton of contractors and maybe even do a little bit of the experience yourself, because I had to do a little bit of, the work myself. And that's how I knew, I'm like, I am not going to be successful in this business if I have to do all of those things myself. So that's when I really switched to, all right, if I'm going to be flipping, I need to have a general contractor, because I do not want to be the one running around chasing tenants, chasing contractors, arguing and doing evictions. So my goal was to say, how can I get out of this as soon as possible? But, doing a live and flip, you get all of this experience wrapped up into one, and it helps you get into the game a little bit faster. So here is how you get into the game faster money wise, because that is the biggest constraint that a lot of people are going to have getting into this business. So you can get into a live and flip for 3 to 5%. So 3 and 5%, those are conventional loans. So you're going to talk to, your mortgage lender, you're going to go through all of that closing process, and you're going to be able to get into a fixer upper property with 3 to 5%. And there's even loans that help you fix up the property, like a 203K loan, which I'm not going to get into today, but that's going to be another one as I learn how to do that, because I may be doing that on my next primary residence. So TBD on that one. But how I did it was I got a 3% down payment for this house that I'm currently in. So this is my first live-in renovation, not a flip yet, because I think I'm going to end up keeping it, but I was able to get into this house with only 3% down. Now, if you go the FHA route, that's going to be 3.5% down. But FHA is going to have a little bit more requirements, to where they're going to want that house to be livable, pretty much up to standard, to where if you do a conventional, it's going to fall into those same categories. But the biggest thing is that it's going to be a little bit looser on restrictions. So you're going to be renovating this property. You want it to be livable. So you're going to be able to move into the property and deal with it, for a month, couple weeks, a month, or more than that. But you're also going to want to have cash in your pocket to do that renovation. So I'm not going to get into that part, but you can just get into the house with 3 to 5% down, or 3.5% if you go the FHA route. So go talk to your mortgage lender, get pre-qualified, do all of that fun stuff, and then figure out if you can get into a live and flip. So the next thing you're going to be doing is you're going to be getting that rehab experience. So this was something that was completely new to me, because I listened to the Bigger Pockets Real Estate Rookie podcasts, where, they break it down if you were to be able to do this yourself. So hiring out contractors, they went through that. And the best thing to do is to be able to go room by room and get a spreadsheet or write it down first, go room by room and list every single little thing you want to do in this room. So once you do that, you're going to be able to throw all of that into a spreadsheet. And then you're going to have all of, room number one, and then you're going to have everything listed in that room in one column. So in the next column, you're going to be able to put the links to every single one of those materials in Lowe's or from Lowe's, Home Depot, whatever, or Amazon. We've done a lot more off Amazon lately. So that is the best thing to be able to do, because then you can say, hey, this is everything I want to do. And you can send that to a contractor. Hey, here's the finishes I want. Here's the paint. Here's the fan. And then, they're going to have little things like how many nails, like how much wood or, 2x4s am I going to need if you're doing anything fancy. So they're going to be able to tell you those prices, but to be able to have all of those big major expenses done, like the bathtub, maybe the tile, the flooring, you're going to be able to pick all of that out and have it tagged in a link. So either you can order that or your contractor can order that throughout the process. And then you're going to be able to put them on a schedule. So this is rolling right into my next point here is you're going to meet a ton of contractors because you're probably not going to be redoing the bathroom yourself. And I definitely didn't, but it's a little bit uncomfortable, but you're going to be able to go through that interview process. So 3 of those questions you're going to be asking the contractors is, all right, give me 3 references for people you've done past work for, pictures, and then you're going to be able to, sorry, I got something beeping in my ear here. So you're going to want to be able to get those pictures of their past projects. You're going to want a little bit about their experience. So you'll have 3 references, and that is the best way to go about it. And then they can come give you a price quote. And then you're going to want to get 3 quotes for everything you're doing, whether that's one person doing everything, or you're going to be having multiple contractors do separate things. So the reason I like to go the GC route is because they're going to be organizing all of those little subcontractors underneath you, but you're going to be able to get that experience, go through the numbers, and you're going to be a ton of them that way. Maybe ones you'll want to keep. So fun story. The first one that I had, project was running relatively smooth going out first. And, I kept wondering why they kept throwing crap in the side yard. I'm like, guys, take this. It's like, what are we doing here? Like, you guys need to come pick this up. So that was actually on me because I didn't know I needed a dumpster. It's like, that was something that just completely went over my head. So, that's something I do now. It's on my list and it makes a whole lot more sense. So maybe you have to have a small dumpster if you're doing a smaller renovation, but for all the flooring, the bathroom, everything they're ripping out, that's one of those little things. And that's something I didn't know, but as in meeting the contractors, it was going relatively smooth. And then he handed it off to his son and completely like night and day experience. It took so much longer. I wasn't getting responses for days. I'd have to call the dad. Then the kid would reach out to me. So, you get that bad experience or good experience. The point is, you're going to meet so many of these contractors throughout your time in real estate, but here's how you deal with them right away so you understand what you're going through. This is doing it by hand and being really hands-on, even if you're not the one doing the work. So another big piece of this is going to be learning the prices and materials and along with that workflow. So I talked a little bit about this, but the best way to do it is listing everything in that room and then, either going to Lowe's or just looking it up on the computer saying, all right, I need a black fan. Go look it up. It's on Amazon as well. So you can just order that straight to you and you're probably going to be able to save a little bit more money. So because you're going to be doing all the ordering yourself, but at least exactly what that's going to be costing. So nobody's trying to rip you off, because if you can get a fan for, 60, 70 bucks, your contractor is going to be telling you, oh, it was 120, 150 because they want to make a little bit more. So that's also stuff they can pick up. That wouldn't be a problem as well. They might charge a fee. They might not. That's something you have to work out. But doing this live and flip, you're getting all of this experience wrapped up into one. It's going to be your house. And then, I would say the worst part about this is it's going to be uncomfortable. So my personal experience, I didn't have a bathroom for 10 days. I went and rented an Airbnb. So that's something you can do. Now, if you're doing something bigger like a kitchen and a bathroom, you're going to want to schedule those all in one, and you're probably going to want to give them about 2 weeks. So the house was a mess for me. People are in and out of the house all the time. You got to have a lockbox. Who's going to be here? Lock up your room so they're not in it or touching your stuff. We didn't have any problems with that at all. So that was really nice. But, I did have a lockbox and I ran it like a business. Who's going to be here? Give me the time schedule. We have cameras on the house, cameras inside too to monitor the work. So that's another thing you learn as the process goes, because, if they're in your home, you don't want them, touching your valuables. So having that camera inside the house and maybe not making it very obvious, but just having it in there, making sure that people, when people are in there, is going to be good experience. And then the uncomfortable part, being able to go to an Airbnb and still monitor the work that's being done. I got an Airbnb 10 minutes away. So I was able to, go check on the work whenever I wanted. I was here just about every day, checking what's going on. Is the bathroom getting finished up? What do you guys need? And being able to have that communication. So long story short here, it's going to be a little bit uncomfortable, but you're going to get so much good experience throughout this renovation process, because once you do start going into flips, if that's going to be your thing, the work process, the contractors, how the flow goes. And then, the only thing that's going to be different is how you fund it, and then making sure you're right on that timeline and then trying to get it sold. But you're not going to be living in it. But you just get so much good experience by actually doing a live-in flip or renovation. One thing I forgot to mention, when you do that low down payment, you only have to live in there for a year. Unless you want to take the tax advantages, you have to live in that house for 2 out of the last 5 years. So that's another good thing about that low down payment. You just can't move in, renovate, and sell it. You have to be in there for at least a year. But the good thing is you can take those funds and roll it right into another live-in flip. Then you'll probably have to put about 5% down, but it's not too bad there. So, I recommend everybody doing a live-in flip, live-in renovation for all of those things that I listed, just because you get so much good experience throughout the process. I did it. That was what I recommended. And then I even house hacked through that process too, where I rented out another room. So I got a ton of really good experience being the landlord, being the person ordering the materials, knowing exactly how much I was going to be spending, paying the contractors, and then working throughout that process. So when I was doing a flip, I had a general idea of what everything costed. And then you're just having to work on that person's actual fees and then their timeline, since you're not doing the work. So I recommend everybody to do a live-in flip or a live-in renovation at some point, to where you can put a low percentage down, between 3 and 5%. And then you get all of the contractors, all of the experience, all in one, and you can still sell for a profit. So that's going to be it for this podcast, but you can tune in every single day, weekday during the week, on my Instagram and TikTok at Figuring It Out Finance, where you can see pretty much everything that I'm doing. I'm walking a lot of the houses. Currently, we have one being sold. I'm recording this on Thursday, so I'm not sure exactly, if we're going to be under contract for flip number 2 yet, but we have three projects going on at once. So you'll be able to see exactly what we're doing day to day. So that's all I got for this podcast, but I appreciate you tuning into the Figuring It Out Finance podcast. Again, my name is Chris Rickenball, and this was episode number 101 of the Figuring It Out Finance podcast. We'll see you next time.